And welcome to another episode of Taboo Talk, featuring me, your very own pastor, Lady Charmaine Day. Today's show is guaranteed to be full of sensitive, intimate, natural conversations rarely talked about in the Christian community. So now, get ready for your own spiritual consultation. Are you ready? Great, let's begin. How are you doing, beautiful? I know you are marvelous, wonderful, unique, and precious because those are all adjectives I would use to describe you. You simply are well put together and such a great representation of God. You are so kind and uplifting, and you go out of your way to help other people, which most people don't do today. So let me give you a warm round of applause for being so warm and incredible. Yay! Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. God works through people, and He's working through you to help other people. I have a few announcements before beginning the show. If you haven't already, please download the free Lady Charmaine Day app, available for Android and iPhone users. The Lady Charmaine Day app has features that allow you to listen to Taboo Talk Radio Show, to watch Taboo Talk Virtual Show, to read my blog, call me with a prayer request. There's a QR scanner and a tip calculator for your convenience. So please download the free Lady Charmaine Day app today. And if you haven't already, please visit www.ladycharmaineday.com. There you can learn more about the ministry. You can learn more about Taboo Talk Virtual Show. You can read my blog, see up-to-date pictures and videos, and you can visit the store. It's at the store that I ask that you make a purchase. Your purchases help me continue to do my ministry. And my ministry is done online through my social media, through my website, and through my app, and through this show. So if you're following me through one of those mediums, I consider you part of the ministry, and I'm praying for you all the time. And your purchases allow me to continue to do this ministry. So thank you. And my last announcement is to say thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of Taboo Talk, for tuning in and watching today. It's because of you that this show is a success. And I'm praying for you all the time. So thank you so much. Well, today we are in for a treat. All month long in April, we've been showcasing entrepreneurs and getting help from them to make our dreams into action. Well, today, not only do we have a living legend, but we have somebody I have known since I was in my 20s. Let me tell you about Wilson Morales. Wilson Morales is a veteran journalist. He's the CEO of Black Film and TV, and he is a Cornell alumni graduate. So please help me help you by welcoming this force of nature, this living legend, Mr. Wilson Morales. Wilson, how are you, beautiful?
I'm good. It's good to be on.
I was glad to have you. So please give us a little bit about your background so people can learn more about you.
As you mentioned, we've known each other since our 20s when we were at Cornell together. And then since then, I've been covering the film and TV business for nearly 30 years, reviewing them, interviewing as many celebrities as possible, writing features, anything to highlight the Black experience in those fields as we continue to hopefully progress, more and more of our artists in those fields, especially nowadays.
Right. And so what made you move to doing your own business?
Well, I was the editor of another website for a long period of time. And it comes to a point in time when you start thinking about what's the next move is. And then when you get to a point where you seem to be doing more, but have less control as far as your ownership and monetary funds and stuff like that, it's better off, hey, you start on your own right now. It's time I've always was encouraged. So anybody who knows me, so I told him to do that a long time ago. So as the saying goes, better late than never.
That's right. And how long have you been doing it?
I started the company nearly a year ago in July, and we still, I always say let's wait a year, to see where we're at. Not 6 months, not 3 weeks, not months, but give it take a year. So at least this is what I did in about a year, and we're doing good so far. We're getting the interviews that we need to get. We're getting the coverage that we need to do.
Excellent. And so, can you share with the listening audience 21 pearls of wisdom for them to make their dreams into action, or what's working for you?
I don't like name 21, but what I would say is, whenever you're starting your own business, one, have a little bit of knowledge as far as what you're getting into. Obviously have patience in terms of like, if you're going to start your own business, know that they may be pitfalls, and so because it's a learning curve. Everything is a learning curve as far as when you're starting to go into avenues that you've never gone into before. Now if you have help, whether it's through people or through funds, that's a help. That's a tremendous help in terms of there's guidance there. And maybe things can proceed faster than it. I've chosen to take the other route in terms like, let me start off my own. Let me see what I can do, because any mistakes I'll learn from it, as opposed to like I'm playing with somebody else's house money. I have a responsibility as a people. So let's see where we're at. So but every business varies in different ways.
Excellent. What is the one thing that you're doing that makes you stand out from everybody else?
I think nowadays, when you think about, what I do, in the beginning, I would say there weren't that many Black outlets or not enough Black journalists covering TV and film. And there's enough out there. It's just a matter of how big is their platform and how more marketable can they make their platform. One of the things that I've done over the years, because I've interviewed a lot of talent, in a way I kind of stand out because I've interviewed enough talent out there before some of these talents were widely known.
Right.
It's not about taking chances. It's more about giving them coverage. It's not about trying to discover who's the next so-and-so. It's more like, hey, you got a project. Let's get it out there so that people know about it. And if that project and that talent takes off, at least I'm happy to say, listen, I caught them early before all of a sudden they blew up. And then there's knowledge. I happen to be a film critic. I've seen a lot of films, all sorts of films, Black, white, gay, straight, international, of all genres, because I don't think you don't want to be narrow-minded and just covering one angle. So long as you see the whole spectrum of films, you have a better vision as to how things are being played out.
And so what is your mission for your business?
What my whole business is, obviously, is to cover enough. You can't cover everything, but you want to cover enough projects and talent and front and behind the screen, from TV, from films, so that people are aware of. So, at the end of the day, while you have much larger outlets, like the trades, the Hollywood Reporters, the varieties, the BETs, in terms of the bigger, they have the bigger outlets, but do they cover as much? They try to, because they're covering all sorts of different angles, they can't dedicate, certain areas to cover everything in TV, everything in film. That's where I come in, to try to do as much, not covering just the bigger names, but the smaller names, to keep growing and growing, obviously to a point where people know that, like, when there's a story that's out, they could assume we're one of the first ones to know. It's like when somebody dies, the first thing people do is they go to TMZ.
That's
and,
true.
it's like TMZ all of a sudden became like the official confirmation of like, did he really die?
That's true.
So it's a matter of just trying to be that individual. And because of the knowledge that I've attained in watching these movies and talking to the talent, I can spit a lot of things without having to go to Google, in terms of research. A lot of stuff, sometimes it could be useless knowledge, but they become useful when you have to talk about it.
I know that's right. And Wilson, for those people out there who are saying, I thought of a good idea, but I just don't know how to get started or how to begin, what would you say to that person?
Depending on what you're trying to do. Nowadays, a lot of things are online because we've been home stuck because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
And, it's not so easy to try to create businesses outside of the online world, because now it's a question of whether or not where you're going to get the people. I think anybody can create anything. It's more about the marketing. You can start any business any time of the day. There's a business that starts every day, every hour.
That's
It's a
true.
matter of, where's the marketing? Who's going to know about it? Are you going to get somebody big enough, like, to go on, was it social media and tell their audiences, check this person out or go here? So always, you have a game plan and assume you can get an audience right away. So before you start it, if you're going to start, at least from my perspective, when I started the site, I made sure there was enough content on there so that when we launch, people can go throughout different pages to see, oh, let me read this article, let me read that article, as opposed to just looking at one article and not knowing how often I'm going to update, what more else do I can provide, put enough in there.
Excellent, excellent. And for those people who say to themselves, Wilson, you make it look so easy, but I don't know anything about marketing. I don't know anything about PR. So what do I do? Should I go to the Small Business Association? Where do I start? And do I write a business plan? What would be your recommendation?
In terms of the marketing, obviously, if you are at ground zero, then
Yeah.
you probably want to reach out either if you have the funds to hire publicists or somebody to help you promote, or you start reaching out to your friends like Facebook and say, hey, tell your friends this is what I got going. I see other colleagues that are starting sorts of, all sorts of business like hair product, that they're selling, cake business, and they're displaying what they're cooking, what they're doing, whether it be on YouTube or a video on Instagram. They're showcasing it, and now it's a matter of letting. Hopefully, if they don't have the followers or the audience, hopefully you can tell your friends to to market them. If they're in that, so maybe one look deserves another, and so forth. Let's see what else you can do. I'm sure everything that you talk about can provide insight to somebody else who's either there already or trying to get there.
Mm. Do you think it's important to have a mentor guide you?
In some areas, yes. You know, you always want to have a colleague, a right hand you can talk to about your business. It's hard to do it on your own and not knowing what's going on in the trenches. So as long as if you can find somebody that is either starting out with you or has been there that can give you pointers as far as what you're doing wrong and how you can improve your business, it's always helpful. Any advice is good advice.
Excellent. What was the one piece of advice that really helped you?
You know, uh, just so long as you're. I think when I started, it's like so long as I do the work, like the work will bring the audience.
Mm.
The work will bring the audience. Don't assume that people are going to come to you because of your name. Let the name be secondary to the audience. I think I remember talking to a a Black female lesbian director, and people were talking about her film because of her. She basically said, no, like the film first. And then when you like the film, then think about, oh, it was a woman that directed it. Oh, it was a Black woman that directed it. Oh, not only is she a woman, a Black woman, a lesbian, also a lesbian. All of that stuff should be secondary to the film. At the end of the day, it's all about, how good is the movie before you get to like who did it.
Hmm. I hear you. And also, just for those people who don't know how to navigate social media, what do you recommend to those people who have a business but don't know how to navigate social media properly?
Social media takes time. Everything's easy. You can't. There's a lot of people out there that want to fast track their careers through social media, and in some areas, they don't have the time to wait for their business to grow organically. So like, but social media, whether it's Twitter or YouTube or IG or Facebook, you have to study in a way each platform to see what works. Whenever you're posting something on social media, on IG, how many likes are you getting? Then think about like, okay, what's the next post? Did I get as many? Are you hashtagging things so that people can find you who are not your followers and they happen to stumble across it? you know it's the same thing like any website, like you put in tag words in there so that it's easy for people to find through Google. you know you have to find some ways to how to market your stuff outside of your core followers, that people can find it. Like if you happen to interview the only individual at a scene and nobody has it, you're going to get an audience. But if you're interviewing somebody that everybody else has talked about, what's going to separate your interview from somebody else? How you describe your headline.
Now, Wilson, you interview celebrities, and I noticed that the way you do it, you're so cool, calm, collected. You're not, hi, how are you? You're just very peaceful with it. How do you remain your calm in the presence of so many different celebrities? And has there ever been a celebrity that you really go goo goo gaga over, but you had to remain your calm self in front of them?
You get to a point where every individual all celebrities are individuals first,
Right.
And at the same time, they want our respect as much as we want theirs. They don't know what we're thinking of their films. And if you come across, or at least my opinion is that if you come across saying you're the best before you even start asking question one, then they're kind of loose, because now that it's in their mind, they don't have to try so hard to get you to like them, because you've already came across and gave them your blessing before you even started asking the question. Now, there are obviously individuals out there who have been working for years, whether they're my age or way older. They're like, yeah, you give them, as they call now, their flowers. But at the same time, you just like want to be patient. I remember over 10 years ago, I was interviewing Oprah Winfrey for the first time. And, here I am nervous because it's the Queen Bee. I do what she does. She knows what I'm probably going to ask. And so I'm walking around and the heart is beating. And it's like, okay, let's calm down. We're about to sit down in the lion's den, and I'm ready for the interview. And then they're like, 10 more minutes. I'm like, no, I'm ready now. Just when I got to calm the nerves, all calm, ready to go in there, let's do this. They're like, wait 10 more minutes. It's like, no, the anxiety is going to come back up. And then when I walked in the room, and she goes, hey, Wilson, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, she was prepared. They already told her my name. She knew who was walking into the room. Some celebrities, they don't know who's who. Sometimes celebrities do interviews right back after one after the other, that, a lot of times they're getting asked the same questions. And so their answers are like a script, that they're saying it over and over again, the same exact way, And so, I just try to go in there and just ask them questions that sometimes they'll be the same things, just to get my audience that's reading at my site to say, why did you do this movie? What attracted you to this? What did you take away from doing this movie? And stuff like that. Anything that gets into the mind of them doing the project and what they got out of it, and describing the project, depending how much time you have to talk to them.
That's good. And Wilson, one thing that you could tell somebody that helped you tremendously with your business, please share with my listening audience.
Everything, I'm an online website. So, there's a lot of technical work that still needs to be done. But I remember when I started it out, I actually thought I was going to be able to do it by myself. Like, oh, let me just look for a website, purchase a site and just add stuff in there. No, depending on what you're trying to do, you certainly need, unless you're tech savvy, you certainly need help in terms of having somebody else create the site for you, what you want on there that's going to make eyes pop, the content on there, so definitely, work with somebody who's a specialist in terms of the content and how to navigate all that stuff that's on there with Google, with social media. So that way, some of those articles you're writing about can easily be found when somebody's typing it out on Google.
Mm-hmm. What do you find is the hardest part of doing business?
What is the hard part? Just getting in the room. At the end of the day, I don't get all these interviews that I want. It's still a challenge. It's still bidding. There's only a certain amount of slots when they do these interviews. Depending on how much time the talent can give you. You want in, and because I've got a lot of years in the business, I've been able to get some of the interviews that I've got more than 50% of the interviews that I'm looking for. But that's not the case for everybody else. For some people, it's still a challenge trying to get in the room to be seen at. So then you have to work on, either people like how you write, how you talk, how you are seen on video, or the way or your site, depending whether you own it or not, has the content that people are looking to see, that the talent's reps, because they're the ones who say yes or no, say, okay, I think my talent can go on your site and it looks good.
All right. Wilson, what would you say to people out there who are trying to start a business, but they don't have a business plan, they don't have a mission statement, they don't have a vision statement, they just have an idea? How do you take them from an idea to reality?
Time and patience. I think, there are people who I know that can do easily the things that I do in the same way. It's a matter of like, do they have the time to devote on a consistent basis to the projects they want to do? That's what it is. It's all about how much time, especially if you're trying to branch off on your own, can you commit? It's not always easy for everybody. People either have day jobs, they have families, if in my line of work, the news is 24 hours. Back in the day, it used to be like, oh, everything ends at 6 o'clock. Woo, we can wait till tomorrow to see what's going on. No, at any given time, anything can happen on real time. Just the other day, Shock G passed away in the middle of me talking to somebody regarding business, and it just came across the wire. And so people who run an outlet, let's just say in the music business, they had to go to work. They had to go and start putting that story up as far as, oh, it's 10:45 at night. Who do we have to write about this? You don't want to be too late in the news, because by the time you're too late, by the time you post it up, you don't want to be 8 hours after everybody else heard about it. So like, you want to be, depending on the project you're trying to do, you have to have the time frame to do so. Now you don't have to do it daily. Depending, like I said, it all depends on what you're trying to do and how often you want people to see it. Sometimes people could say, oh, he's once a week, like the TV shows, and that gives it plenty of time. Like there are some projects and outlets, and I'm speaking from my perspective, from what I do, where things take time to produce, in terms of video and cutting it and getting the rights to this or that to that. So when you put it together, it's nicely done. It doesn't always work like that for everybody. So like I said, all that still requires time.
That's excellent advice. And Wilson, what is the one thing that you do that's unique in terms of branding, getting your voice out there? How do you make yourself so unique that people come to you?
Well, because of the fact that I have over 25 years in doing this, and I pretty much was at a lot of different events, not just only interviewing talent at junkets, but I've gone to like events where there would be other colleagues and celebrities there. And sometimes it happens so that I happen to be, if not the only Black person there in terms of being a journalist, I was one of the few. And that goes to show a lot. So whether it be at a San Diego Comic-Con or an award show, sometimes, we need to see each other. Talent needs to see that there's somebody on the opposite end that they are familiar with, that they can be relaxed with, and that they know they can tell their story, whether they're big or not. I've been known to go to a film festival and see a film, and The film could be as independent, very independent. And then I'll see the talent and it goes, you did a good job, and sometimes they'll like that because they're like, oh, I didn't think anybody saw it, and if they can recognize that, there are a lot of talents out there that I've known since the beginning of their careers. They're blown up now. And whoever reps them, if they've been with their reps for a long time, they'll remember, oh, I gave him that shout out, that article when not many people were going to do so. And, at the same time, I'm always like, let's not wait for white validation. And when I say that, I say, let's not wait for the EWs or the bigger outlets to put them on the map when they're out there now. Sometimes, when it comes to Black talent, they don't get discovered till they're like 10 years in the business.
That's true.
So by the time you're noticing them, they're like in their 30s and 40s. Like Viola Davis has been around for a good minute, but nobody really covered her in her 20s or probably in her early 30s. Same thing for Octavia. It's like, they're getting their shine now, but, certainly not like some of their counterparts who got discovered from age of 18. And by the time they hit 30, they already got like 3 or 4 nominations, and a win.
That's deep. That was really deep. Wilson, this is Taboo Talk. So let me ask you a taboo question.
Okay.
Okay. What is the one thing you wish you could ask celebrities, but you don't ask them because it's not politically correct?
What's the one thing I would ask celebrities? Like, depending on, it's politically correct, you probably can say like, do you read, your own reviews when something doesn't work? Like, are you tired on, that you're being known more for your earlier work than now? You're coasting through fame, as opposed to like, they always say, you're only as good as your last project.
Right.
Sometimes that last project could be like one and done, and you're known for that, as opposed to anything else. So like, so things like that. It's always hard to think about like what you can ask, like a no hose bar, before like, oh, you can't ask them that, because sometimes, at the end of the day, all celebrities like ourselves, there's certain things we want to keep private.
Right.
So like there are a lot of celebrities out there that don't want us to know about their family, if they have a family. They only want to show us the side of them that's the talent. Nothing else. So that way, when they are not in Hollywood, they can be themselves elsewhere. Nobody knows them until they come out with their next film.
That's smart. Okay. So we covered how to get started. Once you're in the business and maintaining it, maintaining your strength, maintaining your integrity, what do you recommend to those people who have been doing business for a while and they need another shot in the arm to keep going? What would you say to that person?
I always tell people, like, at least when it comes to my business, look to see what's working right now. Sometimes the longer we do this, we miss things because we're only seeing it from our perspective. I remember years ago when I was at the other outlet, there was a younger individual there, and he showed me something that like I didn't think would work, but he posted it up and it worked. Younger individuals have different sets of eyes. They're seeing what's working. We don't always see that. We don't always see what's trending right now. We don't always see what's the new words, what's the new jargon that's being, brought out, and so sometimes, it helps to, just look around to see what's selling, because as maybe your core audience gets older, you still got to tap into the young.
That's true.
You look at TV and you look to see like what networks are doing outside of CBS, because they renew their shows, 80% of their shows. Most of their demographics, I think, says their core audience skews older from 35 plus. So it's not like they're trying to cater towards the teenagers. So they don't usually put on shows like that because they know they have a strong base of shows that like has carried them for over 10 days. I mean, 10 years, and so they know that where other networks always like to work with trends. So like, oh, this is the hot thing happening right now. But then it's a matter of like, how do you keep it going? No trend stays consistent.
I hear you. So you got to hop on the trends when they're hot.
In some areas, but you got to know how to hop off.
That's true. That is so true. That is so true. An online business is very difficult to do. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, any business is difficult. Obviously, since the pandemic, we've all been home. So a lot of people have had to pivot as far as doing things from an online perspective. And just look at the education system. Not all parents have a computer. Not all, and if they do have a computer, not all parents, whether it's a single parents or a family, mother and father or whoever, could be tech savvy enough to teach their kid how to get on the Zooms and turn it on and teach them these things. It's not always easy. I haven't heard of tutorial lessons being given out.
That's true.
Or, I don't even know if they're given computers. So anything online is not always easy to navigate. You just got to work at
it. All right. And Wilson, let me give my audience the opportunity to ask you any questions that they may have. Do you have any questions, audience? Raise your hand. Go ahead, Gina. Unmute.
I'm a film person myself. I studied at the New School. I have a degree in film studies and I got a master's in media studies. I'm technically a documentary filmmaker, though we haven't done too much lately. And I love film. And I really like to ask you what inspired you to get into film, and what was the key moment that you knew that this was something that you were going to do?
I would say I was always into film, going back to my, I guess, high school days. I guess, I was that nerd that went to school, came home, watched TV, watched film, never really spent too much time outside. Obviously we all have curfews, we all have to come home. And then I spent a lot of time watching TV. And then being in college, watching as many movies that I could rent on VHS and then DVD, and then I think coming out, I started off doing radio initially, a friend of mine giving me to go see a movie, at a theater, one of these early advanced screenings. And then I guess she was getting them and I was going to see movies. And then sooner or later I was doing radio, covering films through the radio. And then the online world was popping up. And someone had asked me, can I do some stuff online? And obviously this part was covering the Black perspective. And I said, okay, I can do that, and then just get deeper into that. It's almost like, it's almost like knowing sports and watching ESPN on a regular basis, or just news. If you spend enough time watching the news, you can understand politics a little bit until you get deeper in it. So if you know sports, you happen to be at a bar and you're just shooting, as they say, shooting the sheet, with other random folks. There's somebody there that's gonna say, enough, you have enough knowledge of this certain area. And they may give you an opportunity to like, hey, how would you like to come on and talk about, this or that? And it grows from there, so like, and then you get smart, you advance because you're now deep in the business, as opposed to being from the outside, you're now on the inside.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, Gina. Wilson, we're starting to run out of time. We're coming down to the close of this episode. So can you please share with entrepreneurs your final thoughts of wisdom, guidance, and inspiration that you have for them?
What I would say is this, depending on what project you want to get into, have yourself a game plan. It doesn't always have to be all mapped out. You just need a starting point, to see what you're looking to do. And then you have to ask yourself, can I do this by myself? And if I can, how much do I need to know going in? Do I have colleagues that will help me out if I hit a pitfall? You know, because you always want to learn, especially, and I can only speak from my perspective. If you're going to get in the online world, know the business at hand. You know, don't go into anything blind, you know, because you can get lost right away. You know, and then being consistent. Whatever you're going to try to do, make sure you have the time frame. Anybody can start a business. You can start the train, you know, but do you have enough batteries to keep going? You know, so you got to keep going. You got to have that stamina to keep going if you're going to start this on your own, so that way you don't fail. It's like any other business on the outside, whether you open up a bar, you know, or a cooking stand, you know, it's like, okay, you know, or a festival, you know, once you start the first one, now you got to be consistent. The longer it goes, the better you get, the more reputable in a way it gets. Anything that's over 10, 15 years old, you know about because they've been around long enough, you know. Nothing's always going to be perfect. You may hit a pitfall. So it's a matter of like, okay, I've hit a snag. Can I bounce back from it?
That's right.
You know, that's always, you know, nothing's always going to be perfect. You know, you can't ride, you know, a golden ticket for a long time, you know. You just want to have the endurance to keep going. You know, that's all it is. It's, you know, patience and, you know, the quality of time you need to commitment. You know, that's all you know, and then have the conviction to keep going. You know, you can do anything you want to do as long as you have conviction. And then once you have the conviction, now you have the patience, and then comes the endurance. Like, how long can I keep going? Now, granted, you know, you don't want to lose your shirt in terms of funds or anything like that, but you just got to say, okay, can this work out for me? It's like for anybody that wanted to be an actor, you know, and they're like, oh, you know, it's not always easy before you get that role. We just got to keep at it, you know, and keep something on the side, obviously, to maintain a living or, you know, keep yourself healthy. You know, you don't want to starve waiting for that one good role. You know, you just got to have a backup plan, you know, to see what the next step is.
That's beautiful advice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Wilson, can you please share with us your URLs and how people can reach you, your website?
You can go to blackfilmandtv.com. You know, you can find the same thing over at on Instagram. I have a, you know, Black Film and TV 1. You can also find me at Wilson Morales Film. I have 2 Instagram accounts. You can also find me on Twitter as well and Facebook. All of those social media platforms.
Okay, and for all those social media platforms, is Black Film and TV or is it Wilson Morales?
For the most part, Black Film and TV.
Okay, good. And Wilson, you do such great graphics. I've been noticing your graphics. How did you learn how to do that?
Learned that at a previous job I had where I was told that whenever a story is posted, any photo, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, it's always about how are you selling the story. You know, if Denzel Washington decides to play Clark Kent Superman, we're all going to talk about it. We're all going to write about it. It's a question of how you're telling it to your audience that's going to make them look at your particular, you know, so it's a matter of like putting out just a single photo of Denzel doesn't always do the trick, you know, but you put him up, you know, you put up maybe a collage of a photo of him next to playing Superman. And it's like, what? Click. What does it mean? You start reading, you know, so always think about like, how are you selling the story? You know, because everybody's going to talk about it. And it's not like if it's exclusive to you, you can do it however you want. But when you know this is something everybody else is talking about, like, okay, like, you know, like I said, Shock G died the other day, and I'm seeing the different photos from the different videos that everybody's using to tell that story. So it's not just one photo, they're using several photos.
All right. And did your education help you with your business? You went to Cornell Industrial Labor Relations School. How did that help?
I guess it helped me in dealing with people. You know, it's almost about, having people skills, whether you're dealing with a publicist, whether you're dealing with talent, how to talk to individuals, to get them to understand you or answer you in the way that you want them to answer you, so that's it. And it wasn't like everybody goes to school for different reasons. I think I went, studying ILR, you don't go there thinking like you're going to be a film critic afterwards,
No.
Maybe you'll find something that you did within the classes, in the courses you've taken, that helps you out in a roundabout way to what you do now.
I hear you. I hear you. And for those people who have been following you religiously, what would you like to say to your fans of your work? What would you like to say to them?
All I can say is, thank you for following me, for obviously going through me to get updates of as far as what's going on in the industry. In terms of the stories that I'm telling you about, the interviews that I'm providing to you. Keep it going, spread the word, let people know that they can get through it, whatever information they're looking for through me, and there's still more to come.
All right. Well, Wilson, you have been a fountain of knowledge and wisdom. You have helped me and this listening audience definitely go to the next level. And I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time out to share with us your knowledge and wisdom.
I appreciate it. Thanks for bringing me on.
Is there anything else you would like to say? Any final thoughts you would like to share before we close?
Just go say, as one of my colleagues likes to say, see a good movie, enjoy yourselves, whether it be at home or if you want to be brave enough to go to the theaters, go check out a good movie or watch a good TV series, and be entertained. Not everything on the big screen or the small screen is perfect. It just has to be something that you're interested in.
All right. Well, Wilson, I wish you the best with the continued success of Black film and TV. I thank you so much for your knowledge, wisdom, and sharing today, because it meant a lot to me and my listening audience to hear from you specifically. People were so excited, like, Black film and TV, what? So I'm so excited to have you here. I'm trying to be calm like you, but this was a big interview for me. Thank you so much.
Hey, just keep it going.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, until next, will you come back again and be on the show?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, yeah. Whenever the time permits, yeah. If time is right and I'm not too much at work, yeah, I can come back on.
Thank you, Wilson. Thank you. God bless you.
Take care.
You too. Well, we have come to the end of this episode. This episode was done because you are so special, precious, and vital. That's why Wilson took time out of his busy schedule to come and guide you and help you and take you to the next level. Because you are a child of God and you deserve nothing less than the very best that God has to offer. Continue seeking God's face in all that you do, and a wonderful life will occur for you. Taboo Talk, featuring me, your pastor, Lady Charmaine Day, exists to help transform your mind, body, and spirit, utilizing the principles of Jesus Christ. I promise you I will continue to find subject matter experts on the lived experience or in knowledge of what they have onto the show so that you can grow and bloom and blossom right where you're at. Wilson came so that you can have the knowledge you need to do an online business. He gave you the tips that are crucial for starting an online business. And one of them I want you to never forget: have patience. Have patience. Take your time. Do it right the first time. Get those things out of your head and into the world, and have a game plan, like Wilson said, and you will be successful. Well, I'm wishing you the best of luck, and I hope that you have a pleasant day and a great weekend. Until next time, take care of yourself. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.